The Disney World you once knew no longer exists. So what has vanished from these parks, and why did Disney have to kick them off the proverbial island in the first place? Find out today here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. When you leave a park or even just Disney World property entirely, you're more than likely going to hear or read the catchphrase, "see you real soon," somewhere as you exit. This farewell is supposed to serve as a less permanent finale for the end of your vacation, because Disney will still be there to welcome you back home when you're ready to return. But on that shining moment when you do return to Disney World, whether it be a few months or even a few years later, the parks will be different, guaranteed. Attractions get added, new shows are released, and in a rather shocking turn of events, some things disappear for good. Today we're going to deep dive into all the different things Disney has had to say so long to, and how these changes, recent and not, continue to impact your upcoming Disney World vacations. First up is smoking in the parks. So 2019 was a pretty busy year in terms of Disney World rule changes. Stroller wagons were banned, stroller sizes were cracked down on. You could no longer carry loose ice in your lunch boxes and coolers, okay? And dry ice was outlawed too, though I don't know how much that one really impacted the majority of us, but hey, now you know. Along with these rule changes, Disney also announced that smoking would be banned from the parks as well. Designated smoking areas still exist around the Disney World property, but they'll be stationed outside the parks instead of inside them. So now you can find a designated smoking area for Animal Kingdom near the security stands outside the gates, and you can find a smoking area for Magic Kingdom past the ferry boat and toward the bus stops. To find a full list of designated smoking spots for the parks and resorts, you can ask a cast member to help you track them down, or you can check out the map on your My Disney Experience app and tap on the down arrow next to the Wait Times tab. There, you're going to find a whole list of different options you can search for specifically on the map. To find the designated smoking areas, you'll have to select the Guest Services option, which will pull up several different areas around the park, including charging stations, penny press machines, lost and found, and yes, smoking areas. So we've had to say goodbye to finding a Disney World-owned hotel for under $100 per night. Some of our favorite Disney World hotel rooms can be equal to or more than the cost of our monthly rent or house payment. But even Disney World's cheapest hotel room options can still cost a pretty penny each night. Disney's All-Star Sports is well known for being one of the most affordable Disney-owned options out there, and yet if I jump to the week of August 20th, which is supposed to be one of the cheapest times to visit the parks this year, I'm still finding standard rooms that cost $142.50 each night. Even with the current summer discounts right now, where you can book a room and receive up to 25% off, that still makes this room $115. Not an awful price, sure, but after 6 nights here, that still brings your grand total on a room alone to $691. And that's not including if you want to do a vacation package, including park tickets, or if you want to add the Disney dining plan, or any other extra costs that you want to tack onto that hotel room price. Kind of wild to think that it wasn't too terribly long ago when regular all-star resort hotel prices could potentially get under $100 per night, without discounts during non-peak season times. Back in 2019, several weekdays in January and February had these value resorts listed at $99 per night. The 2020 closures definitely did a number on Disney World prices, but several other factors have also played into the rising costs that have bumped up our vacation bills even now, including inflation, supply shortages, and making up for lost revenue after Disney Plus's $4 million hit. But that's a lot of money talk that we've already covered in past DFB videos, which you should totally check out when you get the chance because they require a whole lot of research to pull off. But for now, let's get to the big question that might be on the forefront of your mind. Will there ever come a time where we'll see Disney World hotel rooms drop down under $100 again? Well, I mean, that $115 price tag for All-Star Sports with the discount comes pretty close, but finding a Disney-owned hotel room for under $100 without the discounts to help you out, it's not likely. But that's also why we're probably seeing the summer and even holiday discounts popping up on the special offers, deals, and discounts page at the Disney World website in the first place. Former Disney CFO Christine McCarthy had mentioned back in November 2022 that with the potential recession looming across the U.S., offering discounts in the parks has previously been a good tool for encouraging higher demand, which could very well be what we're seeing happen right now, along with the return of free resort parking for hotel guests and the pay-per-park pricing we're also seeing for Disney Genie Plus. Not to mention earlier this year, when CEO Bob Iger was a guest speaker at the Morgan Stanley Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference, he went on to mention that while he's always believed that the Disney brand should be accessible for all, the company's eagerness to increase their revenue has isolated many guests from planning Disney World trips with their families in the near future. So even if it's possible we'll never see a Disney-owned hotel room drop under $100 for future trips, it is possible that hotel and vacation package discounts could become more frequent for not just annual pass holders and Disney Visa card holders, but for everybody. With all that being said, you might have a better chance of finding cheaper hotel rooms all year round by using these two strategies. 1. Consider a Good Neighbor hotel. Instead of an actual Disney-owned resort, you might find it more worthwhile to book with one of the Good Neighbor resorts. These are non-Disney owned, but they do partner with Disney, so they still provide some of the same benefits you'll find in a Disney World resort. Best of all, Good Neighbor hotels are usually going to be more affordable, depending on when you decide to visit. And 2, reach out to a reliable travel agent. You know our favorites are at Small World Vacations, and they know how to save money on your upcoming Disney trip, even when you're not quite finding the discounts you were hoping to find on your own. When you book your trip with Small World Vacations, their agents will literally monitor your reservation for possible future savings. They also compare discounts and figure out which one works best for your family and your dates and your resort and your touring strategy. And they share expert tips plus first-hand advice with you about your vacation. That's why we love being friends with them. Oh, and don't worry, their services are absolutely free. I'll link their info down in the description below if you're interested. All right, something else we're never going to see in Disney World again, at least I don't think we will, free fast passes. Yeah, still a sore subject? I figured, but we've still got to talk about it regardless. In March 2020, the parks were forced to close due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but when they reopened a few months later, our free line bypassing service, FastPass Plus, did not return along with them. Initially, we figured this was because the parks were still being kept at a rather low capacity and Disney just didn't need fast passes to accommodate their limited crowds. Plus, with the 6-foot rule, you couldn't have people in the fast pass lane anyway because they'd be right next to the people in the regular line. But then FastPass still didn't return a year later, and in August 2021, we heard about the new pay-per-ride service being introduced to Disneyland Paris. Suddenly, red flags that we were trying to avoid for so long were now being waved in our faces. The free FastPass service we knew and loved probably wasn't coming back to Florida. Our suspicions were eventually confirmed, and on October 19th, 2021, Disney Genie Plus introduced us to a world of paid line-skipping services inside the Disney World bubble. Disney Genie Plus wasn't exactly welcomed into the parks with open arms. In fact, some guests still hold on to the hope that maybe this service will be so widely disliked that Disney will at some point pull out an Uno reverse card and give us back the free fast passes. But here's the cold hard truth of it. Genie Plus makes Disney a lot of money. Big time. Last August, we learned that about 50% of guests purchased Disney Genie Plus during their vacation, with a higher percentage of guests tacking it onto their trips during the peak holiday seasons. And at the end of last year, Christine McCarthy reported that spending had increased per person in the parks thanks to the continued popularity of those premium offerings, Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes. So would Disney ever backtrack to make their line-skipping services free again? I wouldn't hold your breath. It's just too much of a revenue loss that Disney more than likely isn't wanting to take anytime soon. And since demand continues to increase for this premium service to the point where Genie Plus can actually sell out on the highest crowd days, there's really no reason for Disney to consider this service as anything other than a success for their business. But that doesn't mean Disney hasn't heard guest concerns about Genie Plus. Back in June, Disney changed its Genie Plus pricing to help bring down the cost of this service for certain parks. Now, Genie Plus's prices are all park-based, meaning the cost of this line-skipping service will vary both by date and by which park you plan to visit. So basically, you might pay $27 per person at Magic Kingdom because it has the most rides, but Genie Plus could be as low as $18 for Animal Kingdom on the same day because there just aren't as many rides and it's not as valuable and there's lower demand. And that's not the only change Disney World is planning on making to help improve guest relations with this premium planning tool. Disney recently acknowledged that they've heard guests saying they wish they could plan with Genie Plus service and individual Lightning Lane selections before the day date that they get to the park, which is why Disney's currently working on ways guests may do this for visits in 2024. According to Disney, their goal is to give you the opportunity to spend less time planning in the park and more time enjoying your visit with friends and family, so we could see some really big changes. We'll continue to keep you updated on what exactly these changes are going to look like when we hear more about them, but in the meantime, if you're still struggling to figure out how to use Genie Plus, or even if you want to use Genie Plus during your upcoming trip, then you want to take a look at our totally free Disney Genie Plus cheat sheet, which will help simplify this planning tool even before Disney has the chance to do it themselves. Just scan the QR code you see on your screen and we'll send that cheat sheet your way. Something else you'll never see in Disney World again is a menu without plant-based options. Get excited, my vegetarian and vegan friends, or just my friends who love solid veggie entree options in general, because you'll never have to feel like you can't eat at a restaurant on Disney World property again. In October 2019, Disney announced that every major table and counter service restaurant in both Disney World and Disneyland would have plant-based options available to order. Now, over 400 plant-based options made with no animal meat, dairy, eggs, or honey are available throughout each of the parks. You can find plant-based options while mobile ordering at quick service locations via the My Disney Experience app. Just tap that little double leaf icon, which will scroll you down to a section of the menu with plant-based choices. At table service restaurants, the little double leaf will still act as your guide and be located next to menu items that are made from grains, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and legumes only. It's like a little leafy scavenger hunt. While it's way easier these days for vegans and vegetarians to munch their way around Disney World, it's still a very good idea to make note of any people in your group that have these specific dining restrictions, or any other dining restrictions for that matter, when you're making advanced dining reservations online. That way you can jot down anything that you believe the kitchen needs to know about them before your arrival, so they can make sure to cater to your particular dining needs and have incredible stuff in the kitchen just ready for you to love your meal. So what are some of our favorite plant-based eats we've tried in Disney World? So many, but I'll name a few for now. There's the Zuki Wrap at Ronto Roasters in Hollywood Studios, the Curry Spice Pizza at Connections Cafe and Eatery in Epcot, the Dark Chocolate Banana Bread Pudding with soy milk frozen dessert at the Plaza in Magic Kingdom, the customizable bowls with tofu at Satuli Canteen in Animal Kingdom, and if you make your way into Disney Springs, you can find places to eat and snack where the menus specialize in plant-based offerings like Erin McKenna's Bakery NYC and local Green Orlando food truck. For even more plant-based recommendations, don't forget to check out our jam-packed 2023 DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining. It's available now on dfbstore.com. We've got a ton of recommendations for vegan and vegetarian eaters at table service locations, quick service locations, and snacks. Don't forget to type in that super special code YouTube to save some money on your guidebook purchase. And you're never going to find a dry park in Disney World again. Let's take a trip back in time to learn about how Disney World managed to break away from one of Walt Disney's major park no-nos. When Magic Kingdom opened in 1971, there was no alcohol to be found anywhere, which is exactly how Walt Disney himself wanted it to be. Walt thought that alcohol would bring in a more rowdy element, quote-unquote, to his family-friendly parks, an element he didn't feel people needed in order to have fun. When Roy, Walt's brother, took over the Disney World project after Walt passed, he continued to uphold Walt's beliefs. No booze, no liquor, no wine, none of it. Then Epcot came in like a rebellious child and turned these rules on their head. When Epcot opened in 1982, it let the alcohol flow, but not because Disney World was trying to appeal to a rowdy crowd like Walt had feared. Actually, it had more to do with the culture of the park. For Epcot's World Showcase, each of the pavilions was made to represent an authentic cultural experience for each respective country, from the architecture to the music to the merchandise, and of course, the food. So to keep things as authentic as possible, Epcot added alcohol to those menus, since wines and beers and other spirits are key components for many meals around the globe. Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom also opened their park gates and allowed alcohol on various park menus, but Magic Kingdom remained dry until the new Fantasyland expansion in 2012. More specifically, when Be Our Guest Restaurant opened, which was the first Magic Kingdom restaurant to offer a very limited selection of beers and wines on its menu. This change was met with mixed reactions, but Disney has been able to introduce alcoholic drinks to the park in a way that hasn't impacted impacted the guest experience if you're against it. For example, you still can't purchase alcohol at any counter service or kiosk location in Magic Kingdom like you can in the other theme parks. The only places to grab an adult beverage in Magic Kingdom are at the park's table service or sit-down restaurants, including these. The one exception we've seen over the years where alcoholic drinks have appeared outside the table services of Magic Kingdom have been during select ticketed events like the Happily Ever After dessert party. So for those of you looking to add an adult drink to your lunch or dinner, you can totally do it at every Disney World park. It'll just be less in your face at Magic Kingdom. Okay, hotel fans, let's talk about those H2O Plus products. Slowly but surely, the little shampoo, conditioner, and body washes that we used to be able to find in abundance inside the Disney hotels and Disney cruises will be a thing of the past. In 2022, H2O Plus announced that they'd be retiring their brand by the end of the year. So AJ, why are these still in the hotels? Well, the reason you may see these products in your hotel room for your next trip is because the two businesses still have a partnership to finish out, and Disney's still got to use that soapy inventory until it's all gone. But once that partnership wraps up and the supply runs out, Disney will move on to something new. Of course, whether your hotel room has H2O Plus products or not, Disney will make sure you got something to use to get yourself nice and squeaky clean each day, but you may still want to pack your own travel-sized toiletries to take with you just in case. And you're not going to see a voyage on the Galactic Star Cruiser in Disney World again. If you've been keeping up with the Disney World news, then you probably already know what's coming. We need to talk about Galactic Star Cruiser, which is set to have its final voyage on September 28th to the 30th, 2023. Galactic Star Cruiser, or the Star Wars Hotel as it's well known, was an ambitious project that went beyond the theme parks and resorts. It was/is a 2-day, 2-night, all-inclusive, totally immersive, part murder mystery dinner theater, part escape room, part cruise, part choose-your-own-adventure game, and it's all set within the Star Wars universe, specifically the events happening between the last two films of the sequel trilogy. Now, of course, we can point fingers at a major reason as to why this interactive experience didn't take off quite the way Disney had planned, and that's the $6,000 price tag that gained a lot of negative publicity right from the start, before the thing even opened. But I want to explore something more specific than just the cost. At the end of the day, the Star Cruiser was just too niche. When you think about a $4,000 to $6,000 vacation, especially to a Disney experience, most guests spend around this amount, maybe even more, to take an epic trip to the theme parks or set sail on a long Disney cruise. But one of the main reasons that Star Cruiser couldn't rely on this same price range to keep them in flight was because only a certain group of guests were excited to invest this much money in a rather experimental getaway. The main audience for this hotel was the hardcore Star Wars fan, alongside the Disney superfans who didn't want to miss out on a revolutionary Disney experience. But even after those fans had saved up money and taken a trip aboard the Halcyon, many considered this experience to be a one-and-done ordeal. In the end, the Star Cruiser had to be a lot of things for a lot of different people, and with a focus on higher-end dining, few activities for little kids, and a fast-paced FOMO-inducing storyline that you had to arrive ready to experience or be okay with missing a lot of the value, there's practically no way it could tick off all the boxes for such a varied group of guests. And at that price tag, it's pretty crucial to tick as many boxes as possible or risk gaining more negative feedback. So what's to come of the Halcyon after its final voyage? Well, that's yet to be determined. But we do know that Disney's staying optimistic about things even after this major hit. Disney stated, "Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is one of our most creative projects ever and has been praised by our guests and recognized for setting a new bar for innovation and immersive entertainment. We will take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans." That's a quote from Disney. In the meantime, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge continues to be one of the most popular lands inside Disney's Hollywood studios, with its numerous gift shops, dining experiences, and state-of-the-art rides. So even the biggest or most casual Star Wars fans can still experience these otherworldly attractions along with the cost of their theme park tickets, instead of shelling out $6,000 for a full 2-night Star Wars voyage. So to honor the Halcyon's final flight and Disney's potentially most ambitious project to date, we've now got farewell voyage tees on the dfbstore.com website right now. These shirts are soft, come in all sizes, and pay tribute to a moment in Disney history that you want to tell your kids about someday. May the Force be with you. And this is the one that really hits home for me. I don't know about you, but we're not seeing any more 24-hour restaurants in Disney World. Once upon a time, Disney World had 3 dining locations that would stay open all night long. This triad of night owls included Gasparilla Island Grill at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, Captain Cook's at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, and Peekaboo Buffeteria at the Dolphin Resort. Along with these all-nighters, there also used to be several Disney Springs restaurants on property that would stay open past midnight, like Deluxe Burger and Raglan Road and Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar. But ever since the COVID closures, those super-duper late-night offerings have been few and far between. And although we wish we'd see the 24-hour restaurants pop back up again for our late-night munchies, remember you could go to Captain Cook's and get self-serve Dole Whip in the middle of the night? It was amazing. But I doubt that's a super high priority on Disney's list right now. So which restaurants around Disney World still manage to stay open late-ish so you can grab a quick bite after the parks close? Well, there are several resort restaurants and lounges that stay open until 11 p.m., including, but not limited to, Ale and Compass Lounge at Yacht Club, Enchanted Rose at Grand Floridian, Gasparilla Island Grill, it's still hanging in there, Geyser Point Bar and Grill Lounge at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, Sanaa Lounge at Animal Kingdom Lodge, Captain Cook's, also hanging in there till 11, Contempo Cafe at Disney's Contemporary Resort, and all the Value Resort food court offerings. Some resort restaurants also stay open until midnight, like Three Bridges Bar and Grill at Disney's Coronado Springs, definitely worth a visit, and Trader Sam's Grog Grotto at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. And then there are several Disney Springs restaurants that stay open as late as the shopping district does, which is usually 11 p.m. on the weekdays and 11:30 on the weekends. These include, but again aren't limited to, the Boathouse, Earl of Sandwich, Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar, Wine Bar George, and lots of others, which you can find the updated hours for on the Disney Springs website or in our DFB dining guides. Yep, we go through and update the hours for every restaurant every single time we update the guide. Now, worst comes to worst, you can always rely on good old food delivery services like Grubhub or Postmates or DoorDash or whatever to get late night eats delivered to your resort from fast food restaurants that stay open even later. Just keep in mind that deliveries like this won't be dropped off right in front of your hotel room door. You will have to pick up the goods from your resort's Bell services. So Walt Disney said it himself. He wanted the parks to be constantly changing and never fall into a stagnant state. And that's exactly what the Disney company has continued to do. Though we don't always wholeheartedly agree with every change made in the parks, we do know that Disney tries their best to make sure guests are staying entertained with updated experiences, technology, and storylines. Still, RIP World of Motion. But those changes bring other changes, like price increases or new planning tools that take some time to get used to. But you know what is sticking around and not leaving anytime soon? Us, your good buddies at DFB. And we'll make sure that whenever we hear about something being added or taken out of the parks, you'll be the first to hear about it. And we'll be armed and ready with the latest tips and tricks to help you navigate all these new changes too. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.